Hello everyone and welcome to my new series Educational Blitz. So in this series I'm going to explain every single move I make on the chessboard while playing blitz chess in order to keep it short while also educating you. So I've played e4, I'm actually currently in a game. So the Scandinavian defense happened and this is the modern variation of the Scandinavian defense. That's what it's called. I'm just going to play the move d4 and after he takes with the knight, looking to put two pawns in the center. Now obviously he didn't take with the knight, which was actually the main line, so I will just go over here and still play c4, and now he's actually just attacking me and I have to defend with the knight. Now I'm simply going to develop my knight attacking his queen with the tempo, and after he's looking to trade over here, I say sure, just do it, and now he's probably not going to be able to jump anywhere. And he's looking to free up his bishop, so maybe I'm going to double his pawns or something like that. And let's see what he does. Okay, so he played knight to d7, looking to reinforce the knight. And now I'm simply going to play knight to g3. Even though this is not such an active square, we still are going to be able to free up the bishop, castle our king to safety, and be completely fine in this interesting variation that he played. So I was actually not familiar with this variation before this game, and as you can see we could actually just play over here because he cannot yet push, but over there seems like it could be a little dangerous, so I'll just retreat on f4 now, and if he decides to make another move in order to attack me, sure, we'll see what happens. Now I decided to play this in order to control this square once more, because now after all trades are done we are going to win a piece. And let's see, maybe bishop to f3 would be something for the future, but I'll just place my rook on d1. Which one actually? I'm thinking to place this rook on d1, because this one could be a very important piece for our attack that we're going to start with the move a4. And now bishop f3 would be another piece that could probably be very strong for the attack. And now I'm thinking about placing my pawn to c4 so that he cannot develop his bishop, but I think that frees up this square for the knight, which is probably going to be beneficial for him. So I believe I will just play the move a4, but a4 runs into this, so maybe I'll play c4 actually. c4 doesn't look like too bad of a move. We can reinforce with b4 later, and a4 is on the way as well, and this square nonetheless is defended by the knight, so it doesn't seem like such a bad idea overall. Let me adjust my cam real quick and continue. Okay, so he sacrifices in order to get some development. This is a strange idea. I don't think that is beneficial for him at all. But let's see, do we attack him? I don't know if we attack him. He goes here, and then I don't think that is doing that much. So how about I either place my bishop on f3, or I'm probably going to place my rook on c1, but then he will just trade, though it doesn't look that bad. Place my rook on c1, and then I'm probably looking for something like this. I want to get rid of his annoying dark squared bishop. And now I could imagine bishop to d4, but I don't think it's that good of a move, to be honest. So takes, bishop d4 is not an option anymore, and we are probably going to get the bishop. I don't see a square where it could be useful for him, because if he goes to a5, I'm simply going to push a3. Okay, so here we have an interesting move. And this move is actually trying to activate the bishop, and I don't see why we wouldn't do it. I don't see why we wouldn't take, but we don't need to rush with taking over there anyways, because our bishop is covering everything. So let's take his bishop first. He cannot take with this pawn, and now I'm simply going to go over here. Everything is defended, and I'm simply going to be able to take back with the bishop if he takes over here, and that square is under attack, so he probably needs to defend that square somehow. And that is an interesting way to defend it, but I've actually calculated it, and I've seen that after something like this, I'm just going to reroute my knight over here, and maybe he's going to just trade. But we are up a piece, and if we defend this correctly, we are probably just going to win the game. And let's see what we do. So we are low on time. I've predicted this move as well. That's why I just play like this. And now actually it is a bit hard to maneuver the knight because of the light squared bishop. So we would like to trade that off sometime, or at least at some point. But let's see. Let's go here first. And we should be careful because we may get overrun by the king later on. So we have to be a little bit careful. But we hopefully will be able to trade this light squared bishop off. As I've said. And now this would be a very annoying move. But if he does it nonetheless, I think we can hold it. The position seems fine for us, even though he may push, and it doesn't seem that good for us anymore. After push, I just move my bishop out of the way, but now our knight is somehow in trouble. Our knight may actually be in trouble. Let's go over here. And let's go over here. He's going to push, I take, so he didn't push. I'm going to try to come around and actually collect everything with the knight, though we are pretty low on time, so we have to be careful. And I'll just go here. And after something like this, our bishop could be deemed useless, but I don't think that is doing that much for his position. And I believe that after something like this, we could maneuver our way around back into the game. So let's see what he does. Okay, so he moves his king, defends at the same time. Okay, let's see, push. Push here. I could see that. And now, after something like this, just a trade, our bishop gets freed up, and we are taking the initiative over here. If you're paying close attention, even though we probably are in quite some danger, it's probably possible to hold. Putting the bishop here would have probably been way stronger, but let's see if that's possible to hold now. This check is pretty interesting, but this endgame is actually hard to play with such low time, even though we are a piece up. These pawns have gotten really strong, and we have to defend very accurately if we want to win this game. Our opponent is getting low on time now as well, so oh yeah, we just get this trade, and now we are just pushing these pawns over here, and there is nothing our opponent can do. And I believe this is a very educational moment, because it was simply a very well played endgame. We are going to analyze after, because I've 100% made some mistakes, even though it was not a difficult endgame. Well, actually it was, but it should have been more straightforward, since I am a pretty strong player. But now we have gotten the win, our opponent resigned, and since we were low on time, this endgame was not actually good. That was what I was trying to say. And let's analyze it, right? I'm going to fix this real quick, so you're going to see the engine as well, and the few top lines hopefully too. Let's see. Yeah, you're going to see the few top lines and the engine at the same time. We were having a mate in 5 now, but let's see how accurately we played. So Stockfish is already saying we had a pretty high accuracy, but let's see. It still has to think a little bit. Okay. So apparently at some point we were completely losing, and I actually expected that. since this endgame was so complicated and our opponent was putting up a pretty interesting game. Okay, so the game was played at 84% accuracy. If I wasn't with 7 seconds on the clock, and you can probably see the graph here, it's going completely down over here. And if I hadn't done that, the game was probably pretty fine for us. So let's see. This is the Scandinavian defense, and now, as you can see, d4 is the correct move. Taking with the queen. I've personally never seen this before, so I had to actually improvise. I've only seen taking with the knight, which I believe was the main line, and it's called the Marshall variation. But now after something like this, I still played c4, which was fine. So I developed the knight, and now attacked his. It was apparently was the correct idea, and probably this was theory that I didn't know about. But after something like this, we developed a bishop. Not the most accurate of moves, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Okay, g3, fianchettoing the bishop, but the position is still completely fine, as you can see. So now I've castled, and he attacks us. Okay, as I told you in the game, look at this. If you go over here, he'll probably take another move and try to make sure that he gets this push. And now, after something like this, if he makes this other move, we simply have enough time to move away and enough squares to move away as well. So now, he didn't do that. This happened in the game. And I decided to play this move, rook to d1. Let the engine calculate and actually see, and let's see what the actual idea was. Okay, rook fd1 was correct. We chose the correct move anyways, because if we took the other rook, this attack simply got weaker. So the engine prefers this rook, so we did that. And now, I actually said rook to c1. No, actually I played it later. I decided to play c5 here in order to stop the bishop. And now he sacrifices. And I told you in the game, this sacrifice is really strange. And now I brought my rook to c1, which was actually the third line of the engine. And actually tied to the second line. And from the evaluation here, it's actually tied. So now I've gone here after a trade. Oh, we missed this fork. Wow, that's an amateur move from me. What? Okay, I've missed a complete fork, but our opponent did not see that. So he just played here, and I've correctly decided, or okay, apparently it doesn't really make a difference according to the engine. And now I should have just simplified and simply be up, but I decided to go over here and attack him. This gave him a little bit stronger pawns because these pawns were overwhelming, these two connected pawns, especially since this one is completely alone. So that was probably not the best of moves that I did, but with 25 seconds on the clock, it was not the worst move either. So here, apparently trying to trade the bishop as fast as possible is the easiest way to convert this. But now I've placed my bishop over here, and I knew that he was going to trade. So I put my knight over here, played the move a3, which was completely correct, and this endgame was winning. I've maneuvered my knight around, which was still not wrong, placed my bishop over here, and after I placed my knight here, apparently I'm supposed to try to target some stuff and get some counterplay. I actually missed this idea with 15 seconds on the clock. I don't know if you can blame me or not, but I blame myself now because I was supposed to see that. So we have correctly maneuvered the knight around, and now after this move f3, okay, I was supposed to control this and simply defend with the bishop because there is no way that he can promote. But now I've tried to trade, and this move is actually correct. Okay, according to the engine, I was supposed to sacrifice, and here this is completely winning. Since we are up a pawn in an endgame, no we aren't up a pawn, but we are probably winning this pawn anyways. And since this pawn is a passer, that is the way it's winning, because we can maneuver our knight around in a specific way that is going to win the pawn probably. It takes a few moves, obviously it takes a few moves, but we are going to be able to maneuver the knight in such a way to win the knight, to win the pawn, and then with this passer we are going to have an easy endgame. Okay, I didn't do that obviously, so I just played here. With 6 seconds on the clock, I could not make this correct idea. And after something like this, we were completely losing. Push, we go down, and it doesn't surprise me that this is losing at all, but our opponent missed it too. Our opponent was running pretty low on time here too, but he did have 43 seconds, which is not as low as us. So he did not find the correct idea. I played here, and then I controlled this square with the knight. Then I reinforced with the bishop, and apparently after giving a check, he goes here. This position is completely equal, because now he's getting a perpetual check. Okay. Luckily, we did not end up doing that, and this was just a complete random move. Our opponent here got completely overwhelmed by us, and he pushed. And now, after he made a few mistakes, we promoted, and here he resigned. It was a mate and 5. We were just going to... Okay, he can sacrifice both pawns, and then there are a few moves he can do. We give a check, and it's checkmate. Beautiful checkmate pattern, beautiful game, and I hope you learned a lot. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like, and tune in into the next video. See you!